During the Chicago Bulls Media Day, we found out that Coby White suffered an injury to his calf in August. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about will Coby White's latest injury cause him to have a slow start this upcoming season, and then just giving a few more thoughts on AK's plea for patience from Chicago Bulls fans. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you know you gotta hit the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shot Boys podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another daily episode. So if you're tuned in, ready to talk Bulls basketball, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. Hey, we getting things rocking and rolling around here as the Chicago Bulls about to kick training camp off. And it's got to be a lot of fun this upcoming season. Would it be good fun or bad fun? It's still to be determined. But we know we about to have some fun over here on the Shy Boys podcast. But now let's talk about Coby White. When AK started the media day off with him and Billy Donovan at the desk and receiving and giving opening statements and asked about Coby White, Arturis pretty much told us that, hey, Coby White suffered a calf strain in August during a workout, and he will be limited in training camp and this upcoming preseason for the Chicago Bulls. So I had to come out here and ask, will this be something that causes Coby White to start the season slow? Because if we all remember correctly, and I kind of been firm on this with my belief in Coby White and saying that he has been one of those players that has overcame a lot of injuries. I mean, not injuries, but obstacles, excuse me, so far throughout his young career with the Chicago Bulls. You know what I'm saying? Going from a starter, then coming off the bench, then playing point guard, then going back off ball, then getting players of the week, getting players of the month, being in conversations for most improved player. All of those things is that has been placed in front of Coby White. He always seems to hurdle those obstacles. But one of the things that where it came down to me for discussions when we talk about Coby White is him putting together a complete season that is based on consistency. There has never been a discussion with me regarding his talent. He has the talent to do many, many things for this Chicago Bulls team. The questions always came up when it talk about consistency for my man's Coby White. And I'll be real with you. My expectations for Coby White was very, very high headed into this season. And it still is very, very high for Coby White entering this season. Simply because now, with him going on a limited basis through training camp and a limited basis through preseason, I'm anticipating that Coby White will be ready to go at the start of the season and be as healthy as possible heading to the season. I would imagine that there be some type of plan in place if it ever flares up. Might take a couple games off, etc., etc. But the expectations that I had for Coby White was this guy should be knocking on All-Star. This guy should be in the conversation to make an All-Star team. You know what I'm saying? Simply because you look at injuries to Halliburton, you look at injuries to Jason Tatum, that opens the things up for other guys to make an all-star team. And I know that some people believe that Josh Giddey could be the next guy in line. Some people, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, for the expectations that they put on Matus Buzelis, they have him in line. But I think that the person that's closest to it on this Chicago Bulls team is Coby White. I'm not necessarily saying you have to go out there and absolutely and definitively make the all-star team, but can you put together and start off fast enough to where you place yourself in those conversations, and then we're revisiting this. If you make it, we cheer you on. But if you do so well throughout this season and help the Chicago Bulls team, and let's just say you get snubbed, to me, that is still living up to some expectations as well. But obviously, this injury comes in play now. So we have to really talk about, will this cause Coby White to potentially start the season off slow? I say it's a possibility, but there is also, to the flip side of it being a possibility, that it doesn't deter anything. Coby White this offseason during media day spoke about him working on his handle, him working more off ball, him working on that 3-point shot, things like that, so he can be a better basketball player for this iteration of the Chicago Bulls. Now, if we go and review some of the stats from years past, we can see that Coby White, if you break down the splits on a month-to-month basis, you see Coby White's numbers fluctuate. For instance, like last year, Coby's highest point total month was in March when he averaged about 27 points per game, with his lowest coming in December at 17 points per game. So there's a 10-point gap that happened, you know what I'm saying, throughout the course of the season, to where you see Coby White have a really strong peak and then have a decent, kind of valley. But then in 2023-24 season, Coby White, his highest point total came in December, and it was still leveled kind of evenly in January at 22 points per game, with the lowest coming in October with 9 points a game, though that was a small sample size of only just 4 games. But if we're going for a larger sample size, that'll be in November with 15 points a game. So what I'm trying to see is, can Coby White be consistent? I don't want him to start off hot and then fizzle out like a couple years ago. I don't want him to start out cool and then get hot like last year. I want Coby White, or my expectations for Coby White is, let's be consistent. I can go with a point or two off, you know what I mean? But I don't want a 10-point gap in between his highest month and his lowest month. I would like to see Coby White, hover around, let's just say for the sake of discussion, 20 points per game. If there's a drop off and it's 19 for a month, okay, fine. Or if you increase that point total sometime around after All-Star break to a couple more points, okay, cool. But let's see a larger stint of consistently good basketball for Coby White. And I think that will be very, very important for him to even place himself in conversations for an all-star appearance. And it will also mean a lot for him because this is a contract year for Coby White. We already talked about the offseason to where the Chicago Bulls can offer him some type of money. But if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was around like 4 years, 89 million. And we know damn sure that ain't enough for Coby White. That ain't enough. You know what I'm saying? It's simply based on what the current contract was that he's currently playing on. And I think they can only go like 100 and something percent of the value that he's already making. So if he was to sign now, he'll be leaving money on the table. Coby White, there's already been some type of rumors and, things that we're hearing that the Bulls are preparing to pay him over $30 million. But I will say that Coby White has to put that on wax. Coby White will have to go out there and absolutely show the Chicago Bulls front office that he's worth that type of money. And I think that's going to come from him as an individual, but also to see how he impacts the game, which AK has placed out. And during media day, that a lot of the focus this upcoming season is going to be on player development and to see how young players impact winning. So not only do Coby White have to be consistently good this season, he has to impact winning. We seen Coby White light it up in March to where he averaged those 27 points per game and helped the Chicago Bulls and Bulls fans around believe that they had an opportunity at the playoffs. Ultimately, that did not happen. And the front office, along with other players, constantly talked about the loss to the Miami Heat in the play-in. So that is going to be an important piece as well. How does Coby White perform in high leveraged games? because the start of your season is tough. And then after All-Star break, teams are going to be battling for positioning. What Coby White will we see? How good will Coby White be? It's going to be some things that we really, really have to consider, and that he's going to have to show us, and we're going to have to be real about it all. That's what it's going to come down to for Coby White. I don't necessarily believe that this is going to make him start the season slow, but if I'm going off history, I might have to anticipate it just a little bit based off the numbers we've seen for the last few seasons when it comes to Coby White and the crazy fluctuation between the point totals. Now, if he can go in and be consistently good each and every month, because I think that's how I will look at him. Now, obviously, injuries could be a part of this. Not playing it back to backs can be a part of this to start the season, etc. So we'll take all those things into account, but we're still expecting Coby White and Josh Giddey and others around this team to impact the basketball game and win basketball games. So we'll see what happens with that. You let me know how you feeling about Coby White. Do you believe that his injury will lead to a slow start this season? Let me know why or why not. But before we get up out of here, I want to talk about Arturas Karnisovas, AK, preaching patience for the Chicago Bulls fandom. Look, I don't necessarily like it, but what else are we going to do? I mean, you don't have to like it. Like, you can voice your opinion because that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. But I think that now, understanding and going into this, things have changed. But in the press conference, AK said this: we have to be patient. We have to do it the right way. We can't skip steps. And he also talked about the Miami Heat game, which a lot of other people talked about as well. And that was I guess, their measuring stick in a high leverage game, a winner takes all type of game to determine if you get into the playoffs. I guess that's what they all looked at and said, that we're not physical enough, because that's the emphasis. But when it comes to front offices preaching patience in Chicago, I think fans are understanding of the patience talk, bro. But one thing that we not gonna do while being patient is you as the front office doing dumb shit. Can we all agree to that? There's a lot of sports fans around Chicago that will be patient. But we're not going to be patient if you, as the GM, the president of said organization in Chicago, is doing dumb shit. Now, has AK done dumb shit in the past? Yes, he has. Over the last year, has he made decent moves? I would say kind of, in a way. You get rid of Zach LaVine. You don't necessarily get draft picks for that, but you do get a couple good players, and one of those players is going to be here for another 2 years. Now, if we backtrack a little bit more, you traded Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso, didn't get no picks out of that, but the player that you got in return damn near averaged a triple-double the second half of the season, and you're hoping that that said player in Josh Giddey can get close to that for an entire season. So was it all the way dumb? In a way, hell yeah. Dumb in the beginning. But ultimately, that player you traded for is now here for the next 4 years. So you buy yourself a little bit more runway. So maybe some moves that we don't necessarily all the way agree with, but some moves that make sense. Can we at least agree on that? So now we get into the actual playing of games. AK, this is where you can lean on and saying, let's have impatience. You go out there and you trade for Isaac Okoro. I think that was a good trade. Lonzo Ball has not done anything for us in the last few years. We like the guy. We like the player when he's actually healthy and playing, but he has not done anything. I think it was time to wash your hands with the situation. You send him off somewhere good. You get another young player in here with experience, a defensive guy that can hit the three. I'm not mad at it. Then you draft Noah Essengay. What is the plan for that? It's going to be very, very key to see how he comes along. Because if we get a season to where Josh Giddey, let's just say, goes out there and average, let's just say 18, 6, and 7. We're just going to do it right there as a little baseline. And then Coby White goes out there and average 22 points per game. And then we get a big jump for Montes Buzelis. That's how you buy patience from fans. Because if we seeing young guy and Josh Giddey, newly signed guy, balling, young guy in year 2 taking a step forward, young guy, and you finna have to cough up some money impacting the game and we getting wins, that's how you gonna buy some patience for Bulls fans. That's how you gonna buy some patience from Chicago sports fans. You ain't gonna be able to buy no patience with us if this team goes on a 7-game losing streak. If this team goes on a 5-game losing streak, we're going to be looking at you sideways, brother. I ain't going to lie to you. If these guys start off this season and the games and the matchups that you're going against, you're getting blown out in just about every one. You ain't going to be able to buy no patience with that. But what you can buy patience with is if you look at everything for what it is and we're like, hey, the Bulls are competing their ass off. They came out with a victory I didn't see them coming out with and beating the Knicks. They came out with a victory against the Cavs. They came out with a victory versus whoever. That's that, you know what I'm saying? That means something early in the season. But I think that early in the season, the way that you start to buy patience, it has to be done on the basketball court. Not everybody is going to be extra critical of what took place or transpired this offseason, because I think that for y'all told us this offseason you're going to draft somebody and you're going to go after one player, and you did exactly that. So how can I be upset that you ain't do shit else? Yeah, I wanted you to do something else, but at the end of the day, you stood by your word. And I don't necessarily think that it's bad moves that you made this offseason. Maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive, but being aggressive with the state that the NBA was this offseason, that will require you to give up draft capital. And I don't want to relinquish any draft capital right now. So I'm going to stand pat and say it was a decent offseason. That's it. It wasn't very eventful, but it was decent. I think you guys are gearing up for 2026. So you can go out there and preach patience all you want, AK. You can go out there and preach patience all you want. But the only way you buy patience from Chicago Bulls fans is if the product on the court is producing something. We can't go off 25 games no more. It's a whole new season. We don't want to be, you know what I'm saying, trash. At least get us some competitive games going and get some victories under your belt, and then we figure things out in that way. But the only way you buying patience is if this team is producing in some way, shape, or form or fashion. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's a bit of a stretch. If somebody is expecting the Chicago Bulls to just be a 4th seed, anything can happen. I ain't even going to lie to you. Anything can happen. But I think those expectations are not being realistic. But we don't want to see a play-in matchup and we getting bounced again by the Miami Heat, bro. We tired of that shit. We don't want to see it. So if you want to buy patience, we need a better product on the basketball court, and we need guys to develop. We need guys to be impactful. We just simply need guys to be better. That's it. But that is it for me today, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. Hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Let me know how you all are feeling about everything that we discussed today, man. Leave those thoughts, those comments down in the box below. And y'all already know we're going to chop it up on the Bulls. The season is right around the corner. But, hey, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always see red. And y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
Cognac. Gang.